Conference champions.
Turn this up real quick. Welcome to WACHA Talkin Bout Live. We're glad you're here. Welcome to the first ever technically live episode.
No. Remember, cold beers and cheeseburgers. That was live.
You're right. Well, this is the first one, on YouTube, because the last one was on Twitter.
Yeah, I'll give you that. First time we're live, and first time we're not like this is not being conducted by Blaze. This is conducted
by us. Well, yeah, because we had the ones at the rink, but enough of that. They understand our history. My name's Chase Beardsley. I'm one of your hosts, along with the other host Ryan Toppney, Trey Matthews. We're glad you're here with us on this beautiful Monday. Usually we do these episodes on Sunday, but this one's special because this is the mid-season finale. Call it, the mid-season finale, I guess. So we've now hit the midpoint of the season. It's time to kind of go over what we've seen with these players and our opinions on the play of these players so far. About double digits, I believe 12 games into the season, but we're going to do that. Any thoughts before we go on, Trey?
11 games into the season. I just looked it up. But, yeah, I think ASU, they're in a better position than they were last year at this point. I think the team has really clicked. A few of the freshmen have honestly surprised me with how good and productive they've been on the sheet of ice. I think the people that we anticipated to have bounce-back years are having bounce-back years. I think the people we anticipated to be the star players, the main point getters, they've been that and more. I think the goaltending has also been very solid for Lindsay Ellis' squad and all that. So, yeah, I think ASU is just in a very good position compared to last year.
Yeah, that's fair. I think you had a lot of fair points there, and we're going to get more in depth with that. Before we begin, just want to mention that we're usually live, I guess, on Blaze Radio every single Friday morning at 8:30. So if you don't know about that, please make sure to tune in when we come back for the spring semester. And then also you can find us on all Apple, Amazon, whatever podcasts. All right, Trey, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this, Chase.
All right, let's do this. We're going to start with some of the players that haven't played. I'm going to quickly do this real quick. Sorry about that. I'm going to quickly scoot this down. Make sure you guys can see my awesome graphic. But we have 3 players that haven't played a single game with ASU yet, and that would be, as I quickly scroll down, that's going to be Brooke Kimmel, Riley Armstrong, and Jess Dorvenus. First off, Trey, some first thoughts on these players.
Well, I think for all 3 of them, it's just like their circumstances are a little different. So for like Brooke, she's the 3rd string goalie and she's played in a few exhibition games. If it constitutes anything to be fair to her. Jess, she's trying to come back from injury, and Riley, she is beloved by her teammates, and she knows, and we know what she does in the locker room for the team. And I think I saw some sort of award make its way around social media saying that she won the Team Mom Award or something like that, if my memory serves me well. But I think for Doro, I'm excited to see her come back. She's still looking for her first collegiate point. I think she was very solid in the playoffs for Lindsay Ellis. Even though she didn't record a point, she was still asserting herself really well on the blue line. She was skating really well. And then for Brooke, it's going to be about patience. being a third string goalie. Just ask Quinn Etinger. Like Quinn's now the backup for Lindsay Ellis, and now you just gotta like be patient, wait for your turn, wait for when it's your time to step into a bigger role. And then for Riley, I love what she just brings behind the scenes, and she always keeps the vibes positive. If that makes sense, if I can say something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hit all the nails on the head there. I'm gonna speak about Jess real quick because what we originally thought was that she was going to come back around this time, maybe playing the Horton Cup, maybe playing the scrimmage. Unfortunately, she has not. She has still not played a game in a Sun Devils jersey this season. It's very interesting because I think Jess was fantastic to end the season last year, and I thought she was great in the playoffs, especially when all the teams started to get injured and ill and all that stuff. She really stepped in and was a great two-way player. She played forward, she played defenseman, she did it all, and it's a Swiss Army knife we referred to her as a couple times for Coach Lindsay Ellis. I'm very excited to see what she can do once she comes back on the ice. It's going to be very, very tough for her to find a spot in the lineup. I will say that because ASU has a lot of great players on their team. Arguably, the scratches are better this year than last year, and it just shows that they might have to keep Jess out of the lineup because of their very, very good lineup. But I think we will see Jess this season. Obviously, it depends if her injury gets re-aggravated or something like that. So there's always that concern. But if all goes to well with that injury and everything's good to go, I think we will see her sooner and later. Same with Brooke Kimmel. I think she does get a game somewhat into the season. We saw it last year with Quinn Ainger. She was actually supposed to start 2 last season, but she got sick for one of them, so she only appeared in 1. I think we do see Kimmel in a somewhat easier game. You don't want to put a lot of pressure on her in her first ASU game, regular season game, I should say, because she has played 3, I believe, scrimmage games, and she has. I think
yeah. Because usually for the exhibition games, they try to use all 3 goalies.
Yeah, and she appeared, I believe, in the both third periods in the preseason games, and then the third period, I believe, for the Kachinas game a couple weeks ago. Again, we saw it with Quinn last year. She's probably going to get 1 or 2 games. I mean, no stress on the young goalie. She's only a freshman. This is more of a permanent spot to add for the future. When Carson Hellman leaves, when Quinn eventually leaves, Brooke is still going to be there. So there's that. And Riley, I mean, you say it correct, Trey. She's a great leader in that locker room. She creates that culture. There's a reason why that her teammates love her so much, and that's because she's just a great person, as you said. Great personality, and she really, really sparks that team, I feel like. And without her, I don't think this team would be as positive, as uplifting, as energetic as we've seen them.
Yeah, I mean, and to go off what you said about Jess, I think I think it was tough for her to crack the lineup last year as well. So to make that argument, sometimes when you get your opportunity. Sometimes it's going to be for in a bad circumstance, like to replace an injured player or someone who maybe wasn't really up to par or something like that. I think it was hard for her to crack it last year, so I think this year is no different. We'll see what happens, but speedy recovery to Jess, and hopefully she does end up coming back dealing with a lower body injury.
Absolutely. So from there, we're going to move on to our next player, and again, we're going in numerical order. So let's start with number 2, Liv Lavelle. In 4 games played, 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 points. She started the season usually as a extra skater or a healthy scratch, but she's been quickly making her way into the bottom 6. We saw her play in the preseason game, not the preseason game, the scrimmage game a couple weeks ago, and she was really, really good in that game, I thought. Talk to me about Liv Lavelle. What are your thoughts?
I still think she is trying to get a little more comfortable with the team. I would say, like you said, you being used as an extra skater, it doesn't really give you the golden opportunity to really thrive. I think she's just trying to work her way into the lineup. So I think for her, it's just like there's not really much for me to base her off of because you don't really see her on the rink too often when she does play. So my thing is like I think it's going to be like a process before, like you said, she consistently becomes a bottom six player. So for right now, there's not really much information to go on her. She's a rookie, like a lot of other people on the roster. So that's my opinion, which is like just got to give her a little bit more time. And for right now, I don't really have much to gauge from her.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair to say. I think, her best game so far this season was in that scrimmage game a couple weeks ago. She did help on that. I think it was the Benson goal. It was either Benson or Compton. But it was the third goal of the game, I believe. I think, obviously, like what you said, she's very young. She's a freshman. This is more a player for the future, I feel like. But it's a decent player that Coach Lindsay Ellis has added, and I believe she was also added in the tryouts earlier this year. So I think it's still a great find. Like you said, some of these freshmen are still trying to adjust to the system, and Liv is one of them. I think we will see her in more games, especially as we start approaching the tail end of the season. I think if I was Coach Lindsay Ellis, I would start playing, once you clinch the playoff spot, put some of these guys in, give them games, keep your star players healthy. And I think Liv Lavelle would fit in perfectly to help this team win out towards the tail end of the season.
I'll just say this, like, I know you don't want to like risk injury or anything and you want to give some of your younger people a chance, but you still want to keep that momentum going into the playoffs, if that makes sense. You don't want players to get cold going into the playoffs, because even though ASU are favorites, I would say nothing in sports is guaranteed, as I like to say.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Trey. But at the same time, I feel like, at least for a game or two, you're going to rest all your healthy players. And the same can be said for your goaltenders as well. I think, especially after last season, where we saw all those star players go into that final series against GCU, and 3 or 4 of them got injured. I think Ellis is going to really be kind of careful after that. But again, Liv is, I think she's going to be great in the future. I think she's a good bottom six, extra skater player right now, and she's just going to get better as a freshman. Any final thoughts?
I think we've hit everything we can hit on Liv. Let's just see how the rest of the season progresses.
All right. From a newcomer that's going to be very impactful in the future to a newcomer that has been electric, Anita Fleming. Wow. She has surpassed all expectations. 11 games played, 8 goals, 3 assists, 11 points. Currently leads all rookies in scoring for ASU. I believe she is either second or tied for first.
She is tied for first alongside with Sam Murphy.
Yep, there you go. There's that stat. Speaking of Sam Murphy, I mean, that's the reason why she came. One of the reasons why she came, and she has been so fantastic. Talk to me about Anita Fleming.
Anita, I'd say alongside with a couple of other rookies that we're going to talk about, like Brianne Powell and also Paige Ring. I think she has fit in really nicely. And like I just said, she's tied with Sam Murphy for most goals on the team. That's not an easy thing to do as a freshman, because you got to try to get in, you got to be accustomed and all that. And the one thing I like about Anita is that she's a very dynamic player, because she's listed both as a defenseman and as a forward. So you know that she can be used in different aspects, depending on the game, depending on the situation. And you use the word Swiss Army knife to describe Doro. Well, I think for Anita, it's just like you could say the same thing, because she can play both forward, she can play both defense. She is a capable goal scorer. I think she can assert herself defensively. So Anita has honestly been a very interesting player to see, and hopefully she continues to rack up those goals. And I know during the offseason we talked a lot about Paige Ring. I know we talked a lot about Brianne Powell, but I think we needed to show Anita some more appreciation, and we're doing so right now, because she's a very capable goal getter. And that was one of the problems that this ASU team had at the beginning of the year, which was I didn't know who was the main goal getter. I like who's going to be that main source of scoring, and who's also going to replace the likes of like Mason Walker or Amelia Smith or Cameron Kozak, who's going to step in and be another goal getter for this ASU team.
Real quick, she is a junior transfer. She's not a freshman, but she is a rookie.
Oh,
So
my bad, my bad, my bad, my
you're
bad,
good.
my
You're
bad.
good.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Force of habit.
You're good. I get it. So 11 points in 11 games played, and I was just about to say, well, you were gonna say like, we talked a lot about the Bree Powells, the Hannah Coons of the group, but we didn't say much about Fleming, partially because we didn't know what position she would play. We didn't know if she was going to be a forward. We didn't know if she was going to be a defenseman. She was listed as both on the ASU website, so we really didn't know. And then she jumped out on the ice and surprised us all. That top line of McKenna, Ring, and Fleming has been the most dynamic line, maybe besides, the Paulson Murphy Satura line, which we all knew was going to be good. But holy crap, Anita Fleming has been fantastic. I love everything about her defensive ability, her offensive ability. Well, I can't speak today. She's just great at both sides of the ice, and she has nice mitts on her. She can deke, she can do all of that, and she's really torched some opponents. And you can see she's tied with Sam Murphy for goals. That is insane. If you ask me going into the season, who would be tied in goals with Sam? I would maybe say Sydney, maybe Bree, but Anita has just surpassed everyone's expectations. She's been fantastic. I can't say enough great things about what she provides for this team and how well she connects on that first line. I think Lindsay has hit a home run with this recruitment. Any final thoughts on Anita?
She's been very entertaining to watch, and let's see. Like I said, let's see if she can continue to do it as the season progresses. So, really impressed with this rookie. I can say rookie, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not freshman, not freshman rookie, a junior rookie, similar to Bree, who's a sophomore rookie, right?
Yeah, pretty much similar. Both from Canada, I believe. Both transferred from Canadian universities. I could be wrong about that part, but they both come from Canada. Let's move on to our next player. This is Amanda Benson. 6 games played, 0 goals, 1 assist, 1 point. Talk to me about Miss Benson.
The points might not do her justice, but I think she has been asserting herself nicely. Honestly, I like how she plays the game. Quite honestly, I think she plays a very physical style. So don't I know like in this day and age we like to like look at the points and we like to say this or that, but she is a defenseman, listed as a defenseman. So I think she's actually been asserting herself nicely defensively, if that makes sense. Just objectively, I think she's been doing well for herself on the blue line. That's what I'm gonna say, and that's something we talked about going into the season, which is you look at someone like you look at someone like Flo Odd. Flo wasn't necessarily a goal scorer alongside with Maddie Platson. They were both players who knew how to skate well. They knew how to make the right defensive plays in order to help their team win. So I think for Amanda, I think she's doing sort of the same thing. So still some work to do. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I think she's honestly done pretty nice for herself.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on what you just said, Trey. She hasn't played, as many games as some of these other defensemen, but like you said, I think
but like you said about Doro, it's very hard to crack into that
absolutely.
line. So
Absolutely.
the fact that she's getting some of those games, I think it's a sign for what could come in the future.
And she's a freshman, so she, like most of the other freshmen, it takes some time to really adjust to a new system, especially when you come all the way from Connecticut, completely different system probably. Like you said, I think Benson has been really good with the body. I think she's been fantastic at, just being a very defensive-minded defenseman. I don't have a lot to say about Amanda other than, she's going to keep improving when some of these older defensemen filter out of the system. She's going to keep increasing her skill. So, for example, let's see, someone like Sammy Lush, who's most likely going to leave after this season. That opens up another spot. And Maddie Platson, who's also a senior, is going to open up another spot. And Benson's going to keep getting opportunities, especially being as young as she is, to keep advancing up the blue line. Who knows? We could see Benson maybe crack the top 4 in 1-2 seasons. It all depends what happens, but I think so far, there's not a lot to complain about. Any of your thoughts?
Nope. Amanda, very strong defenseman. Love how she uses her stick, her body, things like that. I think honestly, it's been entertaining to watch.
We'll move on to Hannah Coons, number 7, 10 games played, 0 goals, 2 assists, 2 points. We thought going into the season that Coons was going to be a very good offensive defenseman because if my memory serves me right, she had 23 points with the Calgary Chaos, I believe, or it was one of her Calgary teams that she played with. Instead, she's been a fantastic defensive defenseman, complimenting Maddie Platson on the blue line incredibly. I think she's been strong, especially as how young she is. She is a freshman. Especially coming in again to a new roster and really cracking the top 4, playing and complimenting someone like Maddie Platson well, and we'll talk about Platson later, but really improving her game as well, along with elevating her game as a defensive defenseman. What have you seen from Hannah Coons?
Entertaining player, honestly. Just but like you said, the points just haven't really been there. But I think for ASU, they're more focused on defensive-minded defensemen as opposed to like two-way or offensive, if that makes sense. Like most of the scoring comes from the forwards anyway. And I know in this day and age of hockey, we're big on two-way defensemen, but I don't really mind it when a defenseman just focuses more on defense, hence the name defenseman. But there's a reason why Hannah Coons has been appearing in the games that she's been appearing, and I think the points will come at some point because everything is an adjusting period for rookies. But yeah, I mean she's been an interesting player. Like I've been noticing that sometimes she keeps like offensive possessions alive up top, or she's actually a very quick player. I honestly, I think Hannah will be an interesting player moving forward. That's all I can really say about her for the information I have and based on what I've noticed. But yeah, I think that's my main takeaway. So Hannah has appeared in 10 games, like you said. So she's appeared in nearly all of them because I believe the team has played 11 games up to this point. So yeah, I've been liking what I've been seeing from Hannah as a defenseman, and there's a reason why she's playing those games. She's doing the right plays, the right moves to help ASU win and keep their offensive possessions alive as a defenseman.
Yeah, I believe she only was scratched for 1 game, and ever since pairing her with Maddie, she's just been electric, and I really like how she plays defensively. Obviously, offensively, it's not all there yet. But as a defensive-minded defenseman, I think she's complemented her partner well. She's made that top 4, which was a concern going into the season. Not a concern at all. Again, I think she's been great to begin the season. I'm excited to see what she does next. I'm excited to see that top 4 in action, especially when we get closer to games that are really high-pressured and must-win games. Yeah, I think she's been fantastic so far this season, and another great recruiting prospect by Lindsay Ellis. Great recruitment in this past freshman class. We move on from one of the youngest players on the team to one of the oldest, Maddie Messenbrink. 11 games played, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. In the beginning of the season, we really thought we saw, the Messenbrink from last season. A very physical player. That is not afraid to hit players and use the body. That's the Maddie Messenbrink way. Well, until we got to the final couple games against GCU and she started scoring. It was crazy. Like her first goal in over a year came in the second game against GCU.
She didn't score last year?
No, she didn't. It was her first goal in almost 2 years.
Huh.
Yeah, insane. You should read my articles more, Trey.
I do read your articles. I just may skip that one.
Oh yeah. Anyway, she then scored again right after that game to make it 2 goals to end the fall semester, and she racked up 4 assists. She was on the Murphy Paulson line for a little bit, but then got moved down to a different line. Talk to me about Maddie Messenbrink and her game, what she's bringing in her senior year.
We talked about the physicality. So, Chase, take a guess as to who's leading the team in penalty minutes.
Oh, especially with that huge open ice hit she had in, I believe it was either game 1 or game 2 versus GCU. At the 10-minute major, it's got to be Maddie.
Yep, 41, and she actually doubles the next person, which is Ellie with 16 minutes in the penalty box. Maddie leads it with 41. So she surpasses it in terms of doubling it. So yeah, I mean, she plays very physical. I respect her for that, and the fact that she's actually we talked about her skating actually being a lot better going into this season, and she has scored a couple goals, and I think that's definitely refreshing to see, and it definitely has to lift a burden off your shoulders for any player who's been like, especially if you're a forward and you're searching for that goal. But for Messenbrink, she's definitely here to bring the physicality, assert herself. Sometimes maybe assert herself just a little too much. Got to control that a little bit more because otherwise you put your team in a vulnerable position. You put them on the PK, especially come playoff time, because as we know, playoff hockey is way different than regular season hockey. So my thing is like I love the physicality and I love how you assert yourself and be aggressive, but you got to learn how to control that just a tad bit more because otherwise teams are going to use that to your disadvantage. So as you know, I've been covering the ACHA for a few years, and a team that I did cover, one of the issues that said team had, who I won't name any names or name any association, I saw opponents try to put that team on the PK by getting that player into some penalty trouble. So, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So they were going against Liberty, and what did Liberty do? Liberty put them in a 5-on-3 disadvantage, and Liberty amounted a 3-goal comeback. Mm-hmm. So that's my thing, which is you got to be very careful when it comes to being physical because you don't want to put your team into a vulnerable position, especially since ASU, with all due respect, special teams isn't exactly their forte.
No, it's not. But do you want to know another interesting stat, kind of going off your stat?
What's up?
So, in all the ACHA, in terms of women's D1, there is only one player that has more penalty minutes so far this season than Maddie, and that is Layla Rushford, who plays with NU. She has 48 penalty minutes. So, yeah, Maddie is definitely a very physical player, if you couldn't tell already. But recently, she's been really good offensively, too. I think what Lindsay did was smart, putting her with Bree Powell and Tristan Craig on that third line. And I think that third line has been really starting to gain some ground in the most recent games, especially in the previous game against GCU to end out the fall semester, where Bree had a hat trick and Maddie had some assists on that. I believe she had a goal in that game too. Again, out of nowhere, Maddie has been a fantastic player for ASU offensively. Obviously scoring her first goal in the year, as we mentioned. I'm very intrigued to see what she can do in the second semester, even if she stops scoring at a ridiculous amount, apparently, because Maddie Messenbrink is now a scorer, which is awesome to see. What she has produced so far this season is fantastic, especially, regarding that we came into this season thinking, she's going to be a very important player defensively and physically because you lost someone like Mason Walker who really laid the body. Not a lot of other players really did that, and Maddie was the key, connection to do all of that. Again, what she has done this season, I think, is awesome. She's already doubled her points from last season. She only had 3 the whole last season, and now she's looking to gun down her all-time career total in points, which is 11 points in her first season with this team in 2021-2022. She's already almost at the total amount of assists. She had 6 that season. She has 4 this season. Again, I'm very excited to see what Maddie has done. I think she's surprised us really well, and she's been a great surprise for this team. Anything else, Ray?
So, Maddie improved offensively. Got to give her credit where credit is due.
Well, we said real quick, we said, like, right in the beginning of the season, we were impressed on how much Maddie had really improved in terms of skating. You remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah. So, like, going off what you said, I think, she's been a great surprise for Lindsay. But go ahead and finish up your thought real quick.
Improved offensively. I think, like what we said, just improved skater, but tone down the physicality at least a little bit, like, or control it just a little bit more, like a controlled energy. So don't have your energy depleted completely, but you got to control it just a little bit more.
Hey, Trey, do you think she'll listen to you? Just
definitely, probably not.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Maddie will always stay physical.
I didn't say, now hang on, I didn't say don't be physical. I just say control it a little bit more, a controlled energy. But then again, she's probably going to say you can't even control your energy.
That's very true. We'll move on.
So who am I to judge?
That is true. We'll move on to Brittany Burdell. Number 9.
Okay. This is before you talk. This is going to drive me nuts. Is it Brittle or Brydell? Because I've been hearing it both ways.
I've heard both ways. We will confirm later because I honestly, she's she's the only player from last year I didn't get a chance to interview, and drove me nuts. But
wait, did you interview Haley last year?
Or? I did. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I know she almost escaped me, but she didn't. So Brittany, 11 games played, 0 goals, 2 assists, 2 points. She spends most of her time on that bottom line alongside Evelyn Olsen, Emma Compton, with Joe Catcham occasionally probably going to rotate in come the new semester. Again, I don't know if we expected, a slew of points from her, but what have you seen from her to begin this season?
I'll be honest, and it's probably the position she's in currently. I expected maybe just a little bit more scoring from Brittany because I saw glimpses of that last year, but there's still a whole half to be played. So we'll see what happens. Maybe it's just because I remember her final goal at Oceanside Ice Arena. She was the last one to score for the ASU team. So my thing is, like, I did expect a tad bit more scoring, but I think she's doing what she needs to do in order to be successful. But that's my honest thought. I think the scoring can be just a little bit higher, but it's similar to what we talked about for Hannah Coons, which is maybe the role is not. It doesn't ask for her to do the scoring, and because there's a lot of other scorers in front of her. So I wasn't anticipating for her to be like a top 3 scorer, but maybe just a little bit more at this point. Because looking at the stats, I was like, I could have sworn she had more, at least assist wise, because it seems like she assists on all of Logan's goals, if I'm being completely honest. But then again, sometimes the PA announcer gets everything wrong. So with all due respect, and that's true. I mean, for Brittany, bottom 6 player, doing what she needs to do. But I could have sworn that she had more points, but still a whole other half to be played, so we'll see what happens.
She had 8 points last season in 23 games played.
Really?
Yes, 8 points. 4 goals, 4 assists.
4 goals, 4. Okay, there we go. Four goals, and so I think she's still on pace to do what she did last year. But I think if you ask, there's still a decent amount of games to be played, and they got that lengthy road trip in mid-January. So
yes.
So we'll see what happens. I still think she's on pace to do what she did last year, but I think I just vividly remember the goals she scored, because I think most of it did happen at home. So, and as you know, we're usually the ones covering the game. So, yeah, I mean, not. I don't really know, like, honestly, because I honestly don't know what to honestly take away from it, because it's just like I guess in the back of my mind I thought she had more points, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think obviously because she's on the fourth line, they don't get as much ice time as the first, second, or third. She does have completely new line mates. Both Olsen and Compton haven't played last season. They're both, newcomers to this team. So I think that's, tough for Burdell. I think, obviously you want to see her score more. It's been kind of a sophomore slump so far. But, like you said, there's still a whole half of the season to be played. She can pick it up. I don't know. I like you said, I don't really know what to say other than, it seems like this is a down year for Brittany. We'll see what she can do in the second half. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I still think she's a very good player, very good bottom six player, and it seems like she assists on all Logan's goals. Or am I just making things
I think
up?
last season, because Logan wasn't as good as this season. We'll get to that. I think that's why what you're thinking of, because I do remember that. And they also love hanging out with each other outside of games, so there's also that. But, yeah, it's just been, I don't know, a rough season for Brittany here. All right, we'll move on to Emma Compton. 9 games played, 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 points. She has been spending most of her time as an extra skater, fourth line player, occasionally scratched here and there. But speak to me a little bit about Emma Compton and what the freshman has done so far this season.
Well, I think her best game came at the hands of Kachina's game, but unfortunately, that's not going to count. She did score a goal. So I think it's for Emma, that could definitely be a confidence booster, because I think, similar to what we said about Liv early on, it's kind of hard for her to it's kind of hard for her to find a role or find her niche, especially as a rookie, and especially since the role is not massive. So my thing is, like, yeah, 9 games, no goals, no assists, but what is she being dealt with? What is she, what does she have to work with? And that's not a critique to the coaching staff. Everyone has to pay their dues, as a player, and she's just paying her dues right now. So for Compton, just give her, similar to Liv, that's my similar assessment. Just give her time to form a bigger role and see what happens from there.
Yeah, again, she's a freshman. It's her first season. She, like most freshmen, and like we've been saying, she's got to fit in. She's been one of the players, that, has managed to land herself a full-time role in the bottom line / extra skater role. I would be concerned because Jill has returned. What happens to Compton? But what you said, Trey, she had a very strong game against Kachinas. Although it didn't count, I thought she played magnificently in that role that she played. I think if that is a glimpse of what is to come, Compton could really, shock some people in the second semester. And we'll talk about who we think are some sleepers for the second semester at the end of the show. But, yeah, I mean, similar what you said, Trey, I think, we need more time to see more of Emma Compton, and then we can really get a full judgment on it. All right, before we go on to the next couple of players, really quick, I'm going to pull this up. Yeah, what you talking about? Make sure to tune in every Friday morning at 8:30 a.m. You can listen to What You Talking About on all podcasting platforms, Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Go check it out. And then, yeah, I mean, we don't have socials for What You Talking About, but we have our own socials. You can find me, Chase Beardsley, at Chase Beardsley Sports on Instagram, Chase Beardsley _ on Twitter. You can find Trey Matthews at Trey Emery Matthews on Instagram. Go check out his Paris posts, and then his Twitter as well, Trey
I only have
Matt
one
4.
Paris post.
Trey Matt 4 on Twitter. Go check him out as well. And you can stream every single ASU women's hockey game on the Inferno TV YouTube channel. There are also occasionally radio streams of the games available for listening to on YouTube Inferno Radio. Yeah, I swear it's going to get better.
Can I say something about the stream?
Go for it.
Tune into the stream and just count your lucky stars that the stream actually works, because at this point it's not even 50-50. So I'll be completely honest, and that's my honest critique. Tune into the stream and you're going to see either a spotty reception, you're going to see nothing, or you're going to see corrupted audio. One of those three usually happens.
Real quick, I'm going to rebuttal that real quick. This is not our fault half the time. The Iceplex.
I didn't say it was our fault. I'm just saying what happens.
Oh, Iceplex dealt us a crappy situation, and we don't have $4,000 to do what ASU D1 does, or a guy who knows IT and stuff. So that doesn't help, obviously. But we're gonna try and improve it. I've been working on some stuff over winter break, so we'll see if that comes into fruition. And we'll be at a new arena for the first 3 games of next semester over in AZI Gilbert. We'll see how that pans out.
We were at a new arena for the Kachinas game. What happened?
That one, shout out the Evernet for that Mesa Ice Rink. We're going to do power rankings on one of these shows where we freaking rank all the freaking rinks in Arizona. Mesa is going to be near the bottom. No offense. But
yeah, so tune in for every game for Spotty for the Spotty stream. Wow. Absolutely nothing. Corrupted audio.
Wow.
Or me getting angry. One of those 4 is usually going to happen.
I mean, you get angry on everything. You've gotten angry on this podcast.
No. Not on the show.
You got angry on this podcast, though. It's on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Go listen to it. All right, before we go any further off the rails, we're going to go into our next player. Paige Ring, number 11. Miss Ring. Wow, she's had a very interesting season. 11 games played, 1 goal, 6 assists, 7 points. And she's fit in really well on that top line with Ellie McKenna and Nina Fleming, freshman year. She scored the first unofficial goal of the season for ASU, which, I'm gonna gloat about that real quick and say I called it. And then she did score not too long ago against Utah, her first goal. But she's been a great playmaker on that first line. Trey, talk to me about Paige.
I think Paige has been a difference maker for this team. The speed she plays, and also just the goal that she did get. It was electrifying. It was a great centering attempt from Ellie McKenna. I think Paige Ring has nowhere to go but up. And I think she's definitely been one of the more exciting players to watch this season. I think the numbers could be just a tad bit higher, but she's a rookie. I'm not gonna hold that against her or anything like that. And she's still trying to get adjusted to it. Right now she's 8th on the team in points with a goal and 6 assists, and I think that's I think the assist numbers are good, and I'm sure she would like to have more goals, but the opportunities are going to come. The opportunities, similar to all the other rookies, and this is probably not going to be the last time I say it. There's going to be other opportunities down the road. So
yeah,
I think so. We were hyping up Paige over the summer, and I think she's been well worth the hype, honestly.
No, that's actually fair to say. I think she's been fantastic to really, start the season. I think, she's a freshman, but she's really fit in quickly on that top line. She's made that top line a really, really good line. I have to say, beginning of the season, if you asked me if there was going to be a line that would rival the Sydney Paulson, Sam Murphy line that we saw last season be dominant, I would say, probably not. But Paige, Anita, and Ellie have really made a case for that. Again, 7 points, 11 games played. That's pretty good for a freshman. Again, we haven't seen a lot of freshmen or new players that have really succeeded or gotten a lot of points in the past. Obviously there were always exceptions. There was always that one player, that was new and joined the team and was just electrifying. Such in case of point, Mason Walker last year, but this year we've seen a lot of them, and Paige is no exception. Something concerning, real quick: no points in the past 3 games played. She is a very streaky player. If you look at her scoring, she didn't score in the first game, scored in the next 2 games, was scoreless for the next 2 games, scored in the following, or sorry, yeah, she scored in the following 3 games, and now she's on the 3-game drought. Kind of a streaky player, but again, we'll see what she can do. I think she's been fantastic, better than advertised so far. There's nothing more proud or better you can say at Paige, because she's been electrifying to begin her freshman season. So the fact that she's a freshman, is insane. Final thoughts about Paige?
I'm excited to see what she can do second half. I'm expecting a lot more goals from her. Quite honestly, I'm going to make that. I'm going to make that bold prediction. I'm expecting a lot more goals off of Paige Ring's stick.
Yeah, just as I predicted in the beginning of the season, Trey predicts a similar thing. All right, let's move on to Sydney Paulson, number 12. 11 games played, 4 goals, 11 assists, 15 points for the Paulson Power Magic herself. Last year, it took until the second half to really see her goal scoring, obviously fitting in all that, and she took off last season. 14 goals. She slowed down on the goal sheet, on goal-wise. Only has 4, but 11 assists. She's only 2 away from beating last season's 13 assists, 27 points last season. How have you liked Sydney Paulson's second season with the Sun Devils?
Honestly, I think she's picking up right where she left off. Like you said, the goal scoring has slowed down a little bit, but she's still leading, I'm sorry, she's still up there on the. Oh no, she is leading the team in points, but with 4 goals, 11 assists, and 15 points. We expected that. I think that's something we were predicting at the beginning of the season. Her alongside with Sam Murphy and Ellie McKenna. So I think for Paulson, or as you like to call her, and you get credit for this, Paulson Power. Get used to that. Don't get used to that, Chase. That's really the only time where I will. I'm just joking. But anyway, I don't say it anymore. But anyway, I think Sydney has been very impressive and picking up right where she left off. And the goal scoring has slowed down, but the assist numbers, and we saw this at the beginning of the year, still very good. So is she the main goal getter for this Sun Devils team? No. And did we anticipate that? Yes. But at the same time, has she still had a very good, productive year? Absolutely. So, yeah, even though the goal scoring has gone down a little bit, you still got other people who stepped up in that place. And I think she's starting to get it going a little bit more, especially as she got into a groove. It just takes one goal to find the back of the net, and then it snowballs and it becomes a little bit bigger. So I think for right now, I think she is obviously the numbers speak for themselves. She's tops on the team in points. So I've been, even though I would like to see more goals, I can't complain about her productive year because she's leading the team in points.
Yeah, as you said, leading the team in points. I think her and her line started out slow. Don't get me wrong, because they were trying to find that third player on that line, and as great Bree has been in the past couple of weeks, she didn't start out great, and that whole line didn't start out great. In fact, I thought they were often outplayed by that top line that we see of McKenna, Fleming, and Ring. But ever since, making some adjustments and putting Satara on that line, I think Sydney has been fantastic. Has had a point streak going for a couple games there until this. No, she still has that point streak going. So she's really picked it up. In fact, let me give you a stat, Trey. So in the first half of this first semester, she had around, 6 points. In the past, 4 games, she has scored 9 points. 9 points in the past 4 games. So again, a rough start for Sydney. No critique for her, Obviously, you have to get used to a new line mate. But ever since putting Satara on that line, I think she's just blown up. And she is now only in her first year and a half of being on this team, she's 5th all time in points. She has beaten Andy Main for that 5th spot. That's incredible. I mean, obviously, the points record, we've discussed it, debatably low, but Sydney has already rocketed her way all the way to 5th place in points in all franchise history. So that's pretty impressive for Miss Paulson, if I have to say so myself. Any final thoughts?
Paulson power.
Paulson power. Yep, Paulson power. We'll move on to Logan Satura. 10 games played, 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points. Logan was my pick, one of my picks for someone who would come back this season and really start scoring. And she has done so. Last year she dealt with injuries. Obviously new to the team, only 9 points last season. So far, 6 points. And she's been looking pretty good on that second line ever since being placed on there by Coach Lindsay Ellis. 4 points in the past 3 games by Logan. And I think she's connected well with Sydney and Sam. What do you think, Trey?
Logan, lucky or unlucky number 13. She was injured first half of the year last year, and I forget who picked her, but I think someone did pick her to have a bounce. You picked her, didn't you? Okay.
Yeah, I did. Did you not just listen to me say that? Ouch.
I know it was you and someone else. I wasn't sure if it was Ari or Joseph who said that. Who said that too? I know you said it, but there was someone else.
I said it. I don't know if anyone else said it, but I mentioned
okay,
how good she was in the playoffs.
All right, just to be sociable, I'll just say you alone. So you were absolutely right, which was Logan was bound to have a bounce back year. 10 games, she has 4 goals, 2 assists for a grand total of 6 points. So I think she's been very productive and very solid, and similar to Maddie, she brings a lot of energy to that team. So you can definitely hear her barking from the other side of the rink. She has that quintessential Jersey type of feel. I should know because I have family from Jersey, so I can say that with full blown confidence. I don't think a lot of people know this. She was coached under Bruce Driver, who won the first ever Stanley Cup with the Devils. Just had to put that out there. But yeah, it's been a long couple of days, I'll tell you. But anyway, as I was saying, I think Logan has really taken steps forward in her improvement and her overall development. So I'm excited to see what Logan can do second half of the year. I think she has a lot more goals in her, and she's electrifying. She's energetic, but similar to Maddie, try to bring down that energy, control that energy a little bit more. But then again, like I said, the argument they'll use against me is that you don't even know how to control your energy. So don't know.
Something I've really seen in Logan this season, and maybe you don't see it a lot during the games because you can't hear it, but I've seen it a lot in practice. She's been very, very vocal. And obviously,
she's been that. She's been that even last season.
Let me explain. She's been vocal as in having fun and stuff in the past year. I have noticed that. But this season, she's taking a very leadership almost approach. I see her, saying, "Oh, this is what you should improve." Cheering her team on. She's done that in the past, as you mentioned, Trey. But I'm hearing more how others can improve and helping others improve from her on the ice. And I've heard it loud, like you said. But I think that's great for Logan. I think as she matures and as she grows older. And 2 years as she's a senior or older, you could see a potential captain out of Logan. I'm not going to lie. Obviously, need to get older first, but I could see it. I could really see it.
Well, we'll see what her teammates think of that because I think the team votes the captains, right?
Yeah, I mean, Logan's a pretty big fan favorite in that locker room.
All right.
But real quickly, let's also wish her a happy birthday. Her birthday was yesterday. So happy birthday, Miss Satura. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's move on to Bree Powell. Perhaps one of the most hyped up rookies of all of ASU women's hockey history. We saw the amount of skill that she had, not just from her prior days of playing, but also when we saw her unbelievable skill in the Kachinas game or the preseason games, she was flipping the puck over the board, over the players. She was moving around them like it was nothing. Granted, it was against the Kachinas, but we saw the unbelievable talent that she had. 11 games played, 6 goals, 4 assists, 10 points. Really started off slow this first couple of games. And, we thought that line of Paulson, Murphy, and Powell was going to be the line that would, be the end of all of the WWCHL, light them on fire. Unfortunately, it didn't start like that for Bree. Kind of struggled in the first couple of games, but ever since being placed on the third line with Craig and Messenbrink, she's just exploded. She's been fantastic. In the past 4 games, she has 6 points, including a hat trick in the most recent game. She was unbelievable. Something that is of note, she did have an injury that kept her from playing in the Kachinas game.
Yeah, she was sitting beside us.
Yeah, hopefully, she can return for the Lakeland College games. Hopefully everything is okay for her when she went back home, treated that. Because we do know Bree has a history of injuries. I believe it was her ACL that got torn, kept her from playing last year. But I really do believe that Bree is everything as advertised. She just needed the correct line mates to get going.
I think for Bree, she had this mentality when in doubt, shoot the puck. And I think that's great and all, but you got to learn how to mesh a little better with your line mates. And I think that's also the main issue. So I had she puts those amazing moves on, trying to cut and dice through the and that. But the thing is, I think she had to learn how to mesh better with her line mates, and I think, like you said, moving her down to the third line, that kind of did help her out a little bit. But I think now that she's learned how to not just shoot and just not pass or something like that, I think I think it's definitely helped her out a lot. But she's been one of my favorite players to watch, quite honestly. BP knows how to rack up the points. She knows how to stuff the stat sheet. It was amazing. It was amazing development these last few weeks of watching her play. So I think that was just her main issue. Just when in doubt, she just shot it, and unfortunately, here's the issue with that. If you're just constantly shooting, and your opposition is not giving you any rebound opportunities, then you see yourself in a lot of one and done situations in the offensive end. You're not collapsing the defense, you're not passing it around, you're not trying to find the holes or weaknesses. You just have that mentality saying, I'm seeing red, going in, shooting it. But that's basically what I saw, and I think you've also pointed this out before, which is and it's great and all, shows no fear, and it was bound to result in points sooner rather than later. But my thing is just having that chemistry and that camaraderie with your line mates goes a long way.
Yeah, I mean, it took a while for Powell perfection to really take place, but she's been very, very good in the most recent games, and she is a very shoot-first player. It took her a while to figure out, how to mesh with the line mates she had. And again, she hadn't played hockey in over a year before coming to ASU, and she played incredible. She has fantastic speed. She's an all-around fantastic player. It sounds like she's going to be in Arizona for a while. She's going to be a Sun Devil for a while. So we're just going to see her further improve every year. The fact that she's a sophomore and putting up these points, these point totals, second in rookie scoring so far this season, it's impressive. And she's everything we thought she would be. It just took her a while to get going. You didn't like my little thing there, Paul perfection.
Paul perfection.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, no.
Well, let her score some more, and then maybe they'll get the hang of it. Let's move on.
Maybe it'll grow on me, but right now, in this present time, no.
Let's move on to Evelyn Olsen. Interesting player here. I do have something to say about her. 10 games played, 0 goals, 1 assist, 1 point. Picked her up in training camp. we've seen her really cycle through that bottom line. She's mainly been centering that bottom line. I think this is my player for the second semester sleeper because, hear me out. I see your lips moving. Hear me out.
I was actually agree with you.
I know, but let me explain myself real quick. I think she's been absolutely incredible on that fourth line. And the fact that she only has 1 point to show for her efforts is insane because she's had numerous chances. She's had fantastic opportunities. She just cannot put the puck past the goaltender. Everything else, she has been doing fantastic. I think she's really going to be fantastic in the second semester. I think that bottom line is due for a couple points, and I think Evelyn is the reason why that bottom line has been as good as it is. She's a great defensive player as well, and I could really see her going off, maybe scoring 5 goals in the second semester, which is pretty good for the limited ice time they get. And again, the fact that she's a sophomore, and a lot of these players are going to leave before she hits her senior year. This is a player that could really impress many. Talk to me about your thoughts on Evelyn Olsen.
Well, I think it puts a lot of pressure on her. Being the sleeper going into next year or next semester, excuse me. Well, I guess you can technically say next year because it'll be 2024. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I think similar to like a lot of other players we've alluded to, she's worked with what she's been given, and that opportunity right now just hasn't fell into her lap yet. So I can see what you're saying, and I think she does really mesh well on the bottom six for Lindsay Ellis, but I don't want to put too much pressure on her, but I can see where you're going at. We can definitely see a surge in second half. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I just don't want to put that kind of pressure on her.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the game that she's been playing. I really expect big things from her. If not this upcoming semester, next year, because I really do think she's a fantastic player. We'll move on to a player that has really come out of nowhere and impressed many, Tristan Craig. 11 games played, 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points. Has really, again, come out of nowhere. We mentioned her last season, how streaky she was in her freshman season. Ended it with only 6 points, 3 goals, 3 assists. And now she has 10 in 11 games played. Yeah, it's been fantastic for Tristan, especially if you look at what she's managed to do in her past 4 games. In her past 4 games, 9 of those 10 points have been scored in the past 4 games. And I think it's because of the new line she's on with Bree Powell and Maddie Messenbrink. I think she has thrived in that line. She has done everything she has to make that line succeed, and I think that line has been such an underrated line in the past couple of games. Again, the fact that she has 9 of those 10 points in the past 4 games is incredible. Speak to me about Tristan Craig.
I'll say this. I think I don't think out of nowhere, like you said, like before I was rudely interrupted by Riley Armstrong by video bombing me while I was trying to give my point. I said that I expected for Tristan Craig to have sort of a bounce back year, and I expected for her to sort of like be a little bit more comfortable with ASU this time around. So I wouldn't say out of nowhere. I would say, like, at least for on my end, I saw it at times, like you said, streaky, and it could go either way, but I was leaning towards the side of I think she'll be more improved just because she'll be more comfortable with the system. It'll rely on her a little bit more, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I anticipate for Tristan Craig to sort of have a bounce back year if you would. But she was a freshman last year, so it's everyone was adjusting as a freshman.
Yeah, I agree. But again, so far this season, she's been playing fantastically. We'll see if she continues it or if it was just a 4-game mirage. Ellie McKenna is next. 11 games played, 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points. Well, she said last year she is a goal scorer, and she has definitely been that for that line of Fleming and Ring, although Fleming does have more goals. But I think McKenna has been a great center on that top line, has quickly come out and become one of the best two-way lines in the WWCHL. Talk to me about Miss McKenna, the new captain of the ASU women's hockey team.
Similar to Logan, has a lot of energy. Similar to Maddie, likes to play physical. I think she's. I think the points are where they're supposed to be for the most part because she's right now seventh on the team, close to being a point per game player. She has 4 goals, 5 assists. So I think she would like to. At least on my end, I've been okay with her point production, but I'm sure she would like to see it just a little bit higher, knowing her competitive spirit. For right now, I think she's at a decent pace to really elevate it come the next semester. So we'll see what happens. But I think Ellie has been actually a very serviceable player for ASU, especially being one of the captains alongside with our good friend Jill Ketchum.
Yeah, she's set to surpass her point record from last season, had 14 points, but her goal totals have dipped down a little bit. I think it's going to go back up.
And that's okay. And that's okay. Yeah, that's okay because right now she has 4 goals, 5 assists. Good balance right now. I think that's okay.
Yeah, and Anita has been very, very good at scoring goals, so there's no stress at all. 3 points in the last 3 games for Ellie. We'll see if she can continue her end of the not season but mid-season point producing skills. But yeah, she's set to surpass last season. I think she's been pretty good so far this season. Again, I think a lot of these players, have had very, very good seasons. I think a lot of these guys have improved from last season. But we'll go on to Sammy Lush. 11 games played, 2 goals, 0 assists, 2 points for number 20. Yeah, she's been good in that top 4 role like, she normally has been. Especially with a new partner on that blue line, which is something we take for granted because Lush did play with, Flo Odd last season, I believe, mostly. And, that was a great duo, and we were scared of what was going to happen to the blue line with all these new faces coming in. And, I mean, Sammy has been great. She's obviously more of a defensive defenseman. She did score 2 very important goals, so there is that. And she takes a lot of beating. Something I've noticed this season is that she's been, hit with a puck. She's been hit with a bad check. It's been it all for Sammy. And we're only at the midpoint of the semester, the year. So, again, I think she's been great with Mia Jarvis, her new defensive partner. And any thoughts, Trey?
Well, yeah, she definitely puts her body on the line a lot. We've seen that on full display. We saw it the playoffs. We saw it just a few games ago when she was walking out with a limp, and she said she took a puck to the body. Sammy's a great leader, well spoken, and I love interacting with her. Very knowledgeable about the game, very passionate what she does. I think I think when we think of her, we don't think of her as like a point getter or something like that, but I'd say like she has 2 goals this year, and I think if you were to ask her, I think she's very happy with that.
Well, she did have 14 points 2 seasons ago. She has been decreasing offensively, but she's been a fantastic defensive defenseman, as we mentioned. And that's okay.
Basically, the point I'm trying to make is that I think I think her production is better this year compared to last year in terms of points, but we'll see how the season progresses. But I think for Sammy, it's like just a great asset in the locker room, great leader, and I can tell like her teammates love her.
Yeah, I don't like playing favorites, and there's no favorite here. But Sammy is one of my favorite people to interact with. She's just very, very down to earth, and very, very chill. And yeah, just one of my favorite players to interact with after the game. I'm not saying that there's favorites; they're all awesome. I'm just saying Sammy's very awesome to interact with after the game. Let's move on. Haley Martin. Man, what? It's tough, man, because 6 games played, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. She was really on a heater. She was playing some fantastic flipping hockey. And then came the accident where she crashes into the board, injures her leg. We thought there was going to be a major injury coming her way. It doesn't look like it. She is off crutches. If I were a guessing man, this is not official, by the way, I would say she plays in the next game. She didn't want to play in the tournament or the Kachinas game because she...
Wait, she willingly, chosenly did not want to play in the tournament?
Well, she didn't want to re-injure her.
Okay, that's different. All right.
Yeah, so that's why we didn't see her there, and probably the Kachinas game as well, because especially if you're head coach Lindsay Ellis, you don't want Haley to come back too soon and re-aggravate anything and then have her miss out on the playoffs. You want her to stay on the sidelines until she's 100% ready, because, they've been pretty good without her. And it's going to be interesting where Haley fits into the lineup after she comes back. But she was fantastic. She was freaking fantastic before she got injured. She was, I believe, your sleeper pick for this season. Talk to me about Haley and what you've seen from her. Again, real quick, 12 points last season. Really jumped out this season with the 6 points.
6 points in 6 games. She was making, Chase, what's something I normally say? No, don't answer that. When in doubt, I'm usually right.
I was going to say hammer meat nail me coffin.
No, okay, well, that I haven't said that once, at least for the ASU women's hockey. Wait, have I?
For ASU women's hockey ever, yes.
No, well, not ever this season specifically. I don't think I've said it this season. I don't think there's been a scenario in which I had to say it. But anyway, as I was saying, usually when in doubt, I'm right. And going into the season, I picked Haley Martin as an X factor piece because I thought she was actually very productive last year based on the things I saw. And she was proving me right yet again. 3 goals, 3 assists. And I even told her, thank you for making me look good. Because I put a lot of trust in you. Don't let me down. Don't prove me wrong. And yeah, when in doubt, I'm usually right. So yeah,
I have to say, I don't want to pump up your ego here because your ego's already big enough. But I would have to say,
it's not that big. It's not that big.
All right. Anyway, I think all of our sleeper picks at the beginning of the semester were really good because I chose Logan. She's been pretty good. You chose Haley. She was fantastic until sustaining that injury. I think those were the main 2. I don't know if anyone else chose anything different.
I think I also mentioned Tristan. I think I think we were debating would she have a bounce back year or not, and I leaned towards having a bounce back.
And obviously she's been fantastic this season. But yeah, we hope to see Haley back soon. Again, it's going to be interesting where they're going to put her in this lineup because that first line, don't break it apart. That first line has been fantastic. That second line, Logan has really put in some oomph into that line and really made that line really good. And then the third line has really been racking up points as of late. So I don't know what you do with Haley when she comes back, but she's such a fantastic player and just shows how deep the ASU forward group has really gotten. We go on to one of the latest additions, in fact, the newest recruitment of this season, not going into next season, this season recruitment, Sophie Fossil, who has better kicks than Trey. 10 games played, 0 goals.
Shut up and shut up.
10 games played, 0 goals, 1 assist, 1 point. Big fan of what you're talking about, confirmed. We have Sophie here. She's a very defensive-minded defenseman. She's been fantastic. The fact that she was scratched for that one game, I know why she was scratched. I don't know if I can say it on there, but it sucks, and they really missed her in that game, and it showed. She comes back and plays fantastic hockey, fantastic defensive defenseman. Can't say enough good things about her. Exactly where I thought she would lie so far in the season. Your thoughts, Trey?
I think Sophie's been very good defensively for ASU, and I think she was definitely a good X factor piece for them. I think she brings a new sense of urgency on the blue line, quite honestly. So yeah, I've been impressed with her defensively. Obviously, similar to a lot of her other defensive, I'd say partners or something like that. She doesn't rack up that many points, but doesn't need to.
Yeah, absolutely. Short and sweet, I would say, with Sophie. She's been fantastic so far for ASU. And uh, similar to Sammy Lush, she uses the body a lot. And I think she's been fantastic. We go on to another defenseman, Mia Jarvis. 11 games played, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. We kind of glossed over her a little bit, talking about rookies to begin the season. We kind of focused more on Hannah Coons, but Mia Jarvis, man, honestly, I think besides another player we're about to talk about and a couple players, defenseman wise, I think she's been the best defenseman on this team besides one other player, and we'll get to that. I've really liked her game. I think, obviously she gets points on the blue line, 5 points in 11 games played. But the thing that a lot of people don't see is the little plays that she makes, both offensively and defensively. And there's a reason why she's gotten the hard hat, which is their little team trophy thing, a couple of times already in this season. And that's because she's just such a hard worker. She's a fantastic player. Again, fantastic pickup by head coach Lindsay Ellis. And the fact that she almost got her sister Zoe as well is very interesting. That would have been very interesting to see on this team.
What, like twins or something?
I think they're twins. I believe so. Don't quote me on that, but they are definitely close sisters. I think Zoe might be older. I'm not sure.
Okay. That makes more sense. Okay.
They're very close in age, but in any case, Mia's been amazing on the blue line. I really like the way she plays. Again, all the little plays, all the small details, she does perfectly. Mia Jarvis has honestly been the best blue line player, in my opinion, this semester, except for one other player that we're going to mention. Your thoughts, Trey?
I think I know that player you're going to mention. I'm actually going to have to lean towards that player as the best defenseman, but yeah, Mia's been impressive. Like we talk about these rookies coming in and making a statement and just trying to make sure that they assert themselves. And similar to Bree Powell as a forward, similar to Anita Fleming as a forward, we got to give Mia Jarvis some love on defensively because she's been quick, she's been fast, she's been making the correct plays for this Sun Devil team, and she knows how. And she's been racking up the points too as a defenseman. So she has. Like you said, 1 goal, 4 assists in 11 games played. So I think she is one of the best offensive-minded defensemen on this team, and definitely got to give her credit in that regards. But I think Mia has been a very dynamic player on the blue line for Lindsay, and I think it's been very entertaining to watch, quite honestly.
Yeah, I think she's been a great compliment to Sammy Lush, who, again, last year I think mainly played with Flo Odd, and we all were worried what was going to happen, where Sammy was going to go, and she's been fantastic with Mia. And again, Mia's been great to begin the season, and even in the most recent game against the Kachinas where she scored, her position on the power play was new, and I thought she played fantastic. I would love to see her more on quarterbacking that power play. But moving on, we're going to go to Samantha Murphy. The one and only Sam Murphy. 11
Well,
games
not technically because Sam's a common name and Murphy's a common last name, so probably not.
11 games played, 8 goals, 6 assists, 14 points this season. First off, shout out Dan Murphy. Second off, gotta say, we all knew Sam was going to be good. We all knew Sam Murphy was going to be good coming into the season. And she has. She leads the team currently, is tied for the team lead in goals right now. Right now is second in scoring, at least points-wise. And another thing is, she just most recently tied Kat Jones for the all-time points record. I believe that was in the final game of the before obviously winter break. If the Kachinas counted though, she would have it, but it doesn't. So yeah, even though Sam does claim she got an additional goal in Colorado, but it doesn't count because it's not in the ACHA record book. Shout out Sam Murphy for that. But again, I think Sam's been great. We all knew she was going to end up on the line with Cindy again. We all knew that line was going to take off. It took them a while, obviously, to find the third partner. But once Logan came, Sam was incredible. She's been dynamite. Obviously, you know, she's going to pass last season's totals because she only played half a season and she scored 16 points. What I'm sure she's aiming for is to get somewhere close to her all-time points in the season record, which honestly I don't think is going to happen because I believe it's 45, which is insane that she managed to do that. But I mean, recently she's been on a tear. 10 of those 14 points that she has scored has been in the past 4 games. So incredible end to the semester for Sam. What do you think so far, Trey?
Who said she was overrated again?
That is a joke. I don't know why you keep pulling that up.
Because it was a bad. Because it's a bad joke. But it was
Sam
a
said
bad
it
joke.
herself. Sam said it herself.
Well, you gave her self-doubt, and that's not good. So anyway, as I was about to say, Sam has been excellent this season, leading the team in points. I would say she got up to a maybe slow start to her standards a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
To her standards, she got off to a slow start, but then she really started to pick it up as the semester progressed, and that was something I really like to see. So my thing is like, yeah, she's going to break the all-time record for ASU in points. There's no ands or buts about it. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be there to witness it or even call it. And that honestly irks me a little bit because I was really hoping she would do it against GCU, but it didn't happen. But anyway, this isn't about me. I think Sam has been phenomenal, not only second half of last year, but also this year as well. She's been a huge piece to this ASU team for a few years now. She's one of the reasons why they got upset a few years ago because she wasn't playing during the playoffs. So I think you really start to see Sam's impact as these last few years has been heavily magnified, and she's been very impressive. Like, you know, also I think she's the perfect combination of playing aggressive but not too aggressive to the point where you put your team in a vulnerable position. So I've really liked what I've seen from Sam up to this point.
Yeah, I think the only thing you would be worried about is injury because it seems like every freaking season she plays with this team, she gets injured. The year that she wasn't in the playoffs was because I believe something with her shoulder. Last year, she was injured, missed a couple games here and there. But, you know, she was good to go. We just hope that she's healthy, knock on wood. Let's move on to Berkeley Radcliffe. 11 games played, 0 goals, 3 assists, 3 points. It's been an interesting season for Berkeley. I don't know if this is her best season. I don't think it is because we've seen her score offensively. She's on that bottom pairing with Sophie Fossil most of the time, which has been a great defensive pairing. What do you think of Berkeley and how she's been playing so far this season?
I think similar to a lot of the defensemen on the team, she just plays to what, you know, defensively. That's her game. That's what she told me one time when I said, "Hey, Berkeley, I need you to score because I have this nice phrase I want to use for you, like when you score." And she's like, "I'm not a scoring defenseman. That's just not her game. That's not her style." And you know what? That's just the overall system for ASU. They're not really big on two-way defensemen. They're not really big on their defensemen scoring. So when we look at the stats for like not only Berkeley but maybe Sammy or others, it's just like, they don't have a lot of points. And we talked about Mia being pretty much the main point getter for the Sun Devils blue line, but that's just how it is. That's their system. That's how they run it. And I think Berkeley, one of the reasons why she's the ultimate captain, she knows how to run the system, and she makes the people around her better. So that's my honest critique. If that is a critique.
That's very fair to say. Um, I think she's been great on the bottom pairing, defensively with Sophie. I just remember, again, she says she's not a scorer. You say you're not a scorer. But then I look back to 2021, 2022. She had 17 points in 24 games. And she's dipped down ever since then. 7 points last year, 3 points this year. Hasn't scored a goal since February, and might be over a year. Again, knock on wood, blah, blah, blah. It might be approaching over a year as we head into the spring semester. So we'll see what happens. Again, she hasn't been, the breakout all-star player that, no one's really expecting her to be on the blue line. But I don't know. I feel like there's more there in the at least assist category. I feel like there's more there. There hasn't been anything negative, that really comes to mind for Berkeley so far. But I think she's been decent. I think she can reach another level. We'll see. Again, she runs the blue line well, and we'll see what happens. Any final thoughts on Berkeley?
I say don't expect scoring numbers, but it's not her game. Play to your strengths.
Maddie Platson, the opposite defenseman to what Berkeley is. 10 games played, 4 goals, 6 assists, 10 points. Man, during that Colorado road trip, I was watching those games, and you call our stream crappy? Holy man. The CSU stream is literally an Instagram live video, so I don't want to hear anything more about our stream being crappy, because we are not the worst in the WWCHL. All right, just want to throw that out there. Sorry, CSU, it's true. Please stop streaming on Instagram Live. Please do a different streaming service. Even Facebook would be better. But anyway, enough off that rant. She was insane during that Colorado road trip. I had the chance to talk to her during that road trip, and she said, yeah, there's something special about Colorado. She scored her first goal as a Sun Devil there, and man, she was flipping fantastic. 4 points in a single game against the University of Colorado. And then she finished off that Colorado road trip with 6 points. So really impressive for Maddie. Unfortunately, she was sick on her birthday, which was one of the GCU games, so she didn't get to play that one. But 3 points in the most recent game against GCU as well. Thoughts on Maddie?
I think she's honestly been the best defenseman for ASU.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm being honest. And something I've noticed during the exhibition games, she tries to get more involved in the play call, and she tries to get involved in more of the rushes. It translates a little bit differently during the regular season, because I think she tries to experiment more during the preseason. But Maddie Platz has picked up right where she left off alongside with Flo on. So that's been refreshing to see that she's still maintaining what she was doing last year with this team.
Yeah, I agree. I think she's been the best defenseman on this team, and she's been very impressive. I'm excited to see what she's going to do in the second semester, especially considering they do play Colorado teams a couple more times to round out the semester. Going on from there, the captain who has returned in the most recent game, Jill Catcham. I am so happy she's back. It's always great seeing Jill on the ice. Always a fun person to talk to. 1 game played, which was the most recent game against GCU. 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 points. But from what we saw in that game, it had been over a year since she played a meaningful hockey game. Coming back from a serious injury, I think she had a lot of good chances. She took a couple shots that I thought were really good. I don't think we're ever going to see the 30-plus points Jill Catcham ever return. We'll see where Jill's going to end up in the lineup, though, because it's going to be very interesting. I don't think they keep her in that extra skater position because, I feel like that was to get her in. And I feel like she'll be on there maybe a couple more times before, we start seeing her move up the lineup. I wonder if they, mess up that line of Murphy, Paulson, Satera, and put Catcham on there because, as we all know, that the duo between Murphy and Catcham was incredible. And we haven't seen in a regular season game since 2021, 2022, Jill and Sam play on the same line. So we'll see if we're going to see that again potentially recapture that old magic. But I mean, one game played. What do you have to say about Jill?
This is the last player I have to rate because I do have to get to another call real fast. But and I wanted to do Jill because Jill's OG, known her for years. I think Jill, like you said, we're probably not going to see her as a 30 goal scorer that we once saw. And unfortunately, after a major injury, you're never really the same. But it's her final year. See what can happen. And I think she's been I think, hasn't been perfect getting her back into the lineup. No, but that's why you have those exhibition games. That's why you have that 3-on-3 tournament in order to, like, get a better assessment as to how someone is.
Yeah.
So, ease her back into the lineup. So that's my honest critique for Jill Ketchum, which is not much to go off for right now, but just be patient, give it time, and we'll see what happens. So she did look a little slow coming back into it, but it's her first time skating in a while, or in game action in a while. So yeah, I mean, was a very good scorer for ASU. Will she get back to that? I personally say no, but that's okay. She doesn't have to. Just try to, fit in. That's my thing.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think we're ever going to see the Jill Ketchum from 2 seasons ago, but something I do have to say, she does have to get that speed back, but she will, and she'll get back the skill that we've seen her use, and we'll see how she fares in the second semester. I know you have to go, Trey, but any final thoughts before you leave?
Just ASU. They're the favorites now. Keep that momentum. Ride that hot hand. And then, come playoff time, we'll see what happens. But I think this team is in a good position right now. But not jumping the gun on anything, knock on wood, but I think they're definitely a team you have to look out for in the playoffs.
Yeah, I would agree. I would also agree with that. Again, you can find Trey Matthews on Instagram, Trey Emery Matthews, and TreyMatt4 on Twitter. And he also does a lot of broadcasting on Inferno TV, so make sure to check that out. All right, Trey. Well, I will catch you later. I'm going to finish out the final 2 players, and then I'll join you in the lobby. But thanks for being here, Trey.
Thank you, Chase. I'll talk soon, bud.
All right. So as Trey leaves, we're going to do the final 2 players. Thankfully, he was able to do Jill with me and most of the other players. But we're going to go on to the 2 goaltenders. Quinn Eanger, number 30 for ASU. 5 games played. 5.000 is her record. Goals against average is 0.60, and her save percentage a whopping .978. Quinn has been freaking fantastic. Honestly, I think if you ask me who's been the best player on this team or the most unsuspecting best player on this team, it's been Quinn, in my opinion. She's just been incredible. The saves that she has made has put this team in the position that they're in. I think she is capable of being a number 1 goaltender in almost any other team. I think that's how good she's gotten, and we all saw that as she worked during practice and training camp before the season started. We saw that something looked different about her, and she was very, very motivated to try to get the starting position, which we all knew would be hard. Carson, obviously, just won WWCHL MVP. But then Quinn went out and won that Maryville game. And, man, she was just ever so impressive. I think Quinn's been perhaps the best player or most improved player compared from last year to this semester. And I've just been very impressed by the way she plays, and I think Trey can agree with me, and I think Trey would also agree that now Lindsay can really play a 1A, 1B goaltending role, which I don't know if she's really done before. When McClelland and Carson were sharing the net last season, it was mainly Halle getting most of the games until, obviously she left the team. But again, I think Quinn has just been fantastic to start the season. I think there's going to be a lot of fantastic things going in the way of Quinn Eanger, not just in the second semester, but also in the years to come. She is a younger goaltender than Carson, so we're going to probably see her for a very long time. Also, interesting note about Quinn before we move on to the final player. Quinn has won every single game she's appeared in as a Sun Devil, dating back to last season against Denver. So she's won 6 out of 6, and she's had shutouts in most of those games. So very impressive for young Quinn. And finally, Carson Hellman. 15, or why does that say 15? 6 games played. Ignore the 15. 5-1-0-0. Goals against average 1.33, and her save percentage is a .944. Actually better than last year. If you look at her record from last year around this time of year, or at least at the end of the season, not as good as this. And obviously they played Liberty for 2 games, and that, sank her record and her goals against average and stuff. Carson had a slow start to the season. There's no denying that. I'm sure Carson would say that as well. It wasn't all of her fault that she lost 5-2 in that first game. But ever since then, she's rebounded and she's been incredible. There's not a lot to say about Carson that we haven't already said about Carson because she's so good. And she is a starting goaltender in every single WCHL team, and most of the ACHA teams, she is a starting goaltender. Again, it's very interesting with Carson to see, what she does in the second semester. Again, it's a very, very tough schedule going into the second semester. They play Lakeland for 3 games, then they go to Missouri/Illinois to go play some of the top teams in the league, including Maryville, McKendree, and Lindenwood. All 3 are currently ranked as of the most recent ACHA rankings. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough for this goaltending tandem. But, we saw Quinn take down Maryville. The question is, can Carson win her first game against a ranked opponent this season? I would say yes. I think she's going to get her redemption game if she hasn't already gotten it. She's been fantastic in net still. There's no diss or, whatever on Carson because I think Carson is a fantastic goaltender, especially for the height she is. I would have to say that about Brooke too. They're very, very short, but they make some great saves and stand tall in net. Not as that's a little joke, I guess. But in any case, and that's going to wrap up all the players. Real quickly, I want to share some of my picks to watch out for this upcoming semester. We'll start with the forwards. I think, as I mentioned, Evelyn Olsen could really break out this season. I think she's been fantastic on that bottom line. I think, there's a lot more potential in her that we're going to see. I'm very excited to see how she plays in the upcoming couple of games. I think she could score a lot. The top line, I would say look out for, I think, Anita Fleming. She's been electric this season, and I think she's going to continue that. Something I also look out for is obviously Murphy and Paulson. They've had hot streaks going in. Obviously, Sam is about to break the all-time points record. It's going to happen within the next 1 or 2 games of them coming back, knock on wood. Obviously, I don't want to jinx it. But obviously, they're always players to look out for. And then Bree, of course, Bree Powell has been incredible on that third line. She's ended this halfway point on a very, very big high. Same with Tristan in that third line. I just don't see how you mess up that. You rearrange that third line if you're Lindsay, especially, considering that you have Jill and Haley eventually coming back. Jill already back, Haley probably coming back sometime next semester. It's going to be interesting where they put all these players. Defense-wise, obviously, Maddie has been fantastic so far to start the season off. But I would also keep an eye on Mia Jarvis. I think she could have a big second semester coming her way in terms of points. Who knows what's going to happen? I just was really impressed with how she played against the Kachinas. We'll see what happens. As I mentioned, Quinn Ainger. She hasn't lost a game in a Sun Devil jersey. The fact that's a thing is awesome. Obviously, Carson is another player to watch out for as well at all times. Especially because, as I mentioned, can she win her first game against a ranked opponent this season? I believe so. And the same can be said for Brooke Kimmel. Will she appear in a game? I think so. Definitely look out for her. So currently, ASU sits at 10-1-0. They are obviously first in WWCHL. And I believe they are 7th overall in terms of ranking. And they haven't really moved up or down this whole season. And it's all going to be interesting to see what happens when we return next semester. Because, again, they play some very, very good teams. Lakeland College, a Canadian university. So we don't really know how good they are. But, again, they're from Canada. I know that's a stereotype. All Canadians are good at hockey. But, especially these universities, comparing them to ACHA teams is weird, and it's going to be interesting. It's kind of like comparing, a Canadian Junior League, like WHL, to NCAA. Like, how do these players translate from one league to the other? We're going to find out in the first week of January. That's going to be awesome. That's going to be held at AZ Ice Gilbert, the, I believe, 4th Arizona ice rink they'll play at, because they played at Iceplex, Mesa Community, and Arcadia so far this season, and now they'll play at Gilbert. Obviously, some of those weren't home games, but they've played at 4 rinks in Arizona, so very interesting little stat to keep out on. They've won games in all 4, or all 3 rinks, so we'll see if they can make it 4. But right after that, they fly, as I mentioned, to Missouri, Illinois, and play some of the toughest teams in the league, and that's going to be the true test for ASU. If they're able to win at least 3 of those 4 games that they play against Maryville, McKendree, and Lindenwood. It's either 4 or 5, as I check that, because they do play only 1 against Lindenwood. I don't know if they play 2 against McKendree. Let me check that real quick. Excuse me. They do play 2 games. So the 5 games. If they can win 3 of those 5 games, I think that shows a lot about this ASU team, especially beating ranked opponents. I'm not going to give any predictions because you're going to have to tune in to the next episode, What You Talking About, to kind of do that. I'll leave you on a little cliff. But once you get past that part of the schedule, it's pretty easy. You play Denver, you play GCU. You also play Utah, which, arguably is the toughest team besides ASU in the WWCHL, but ASU beat them 7-1 last time they played. So we'll see what happens. But we're going to start wrapping this up. It's been almost 2 hours. So, again, thanks for all of everyone who tuned in. Again, shout out to Trey, who had to leave early. But we are glad you guys were able to come out. Again, every Friday morning at 8:30 a.m., tune into Blaze Radio to stream What You Talkin Bout, 30-minute show. So listen to it on your way to work, whatever you want. And obviously, all of this is all posted on the What You Talkin Bout podcast page, Apple, Spotify, and even Amazon Music. Shout out to Joseph Furtado, who uses Amazon Podcasts. I've never, ever met anyone else that does that. But, yeah, check us out on all 3 of those platforms. And you can stream any What You Talkin Bout episode on those platforms. For Trey Matthews, you can find him at Trey Emery Matthews on Instagram, TreyMatt4 on Twitter. And then for myself, Chase Beardsley, Chase_Beardsley_sports on Instagram, and then Chase Beardsley_ on Twitter. Find all the latest updates of your ASU women's hockey team on my Twitter page, including the newest recruitments, which they're coming out. We've had 3 so far. I don't expect there to be a lot of them, especially because a lot of these guys are going to stay with this team. But we have gotten 3 of them, so make sure to check back there for all the latest recruitment updates, all the game updates, every article you would possibly want to read. Check it out there. ChaseBeardsley.com is the every way you can find all my content. You can also stream every game on the Inferno TV YouTube channel. But that's pretty much going to do it for What You Talking About. Thank you so much for being here with us during this 2-hour special. We hope you enjoyed. Have a great holidays for myself and Trey, and we will see you